Abbe Lowell earned his keep today in a courtroom where he made this surprise plea or tried to enter this plea for Hunter Biden to help him avoid what was going to be and still may be a very embarrassing trial on his taxes and his failure to pay taxes and his failure to file tax returns. His lawyer entered what's called an Alford Plea. Help us understand what that is and what the judge did once that plea was entered.
In state court, it's the equivalent of requesting or entering a plea of nolo contendere. It's not a not guilty, and it's not the court treats it as a guilty plea, but you have certain benefits by pleading nolo contendere. So it's like that. But in the federal court system, although Abbe Lowell offered to enter into an Alford plea arrangement, the DA, they're not the DA, the U.S. Attorney's Office, DOJ, rejected it. And what Hunter Biden ended up having to do was just plead straight out guilty in a regular to the charges as they stood. There were no negotiations. He pled guilty to the charges as they stood. And he did so to avoid what would have been a hurricane of embarrassment and ridicule and attacks by the Republicans, by Mr. Trump, against Joe Biden and the Biden family. And so he did that. He sort of, I remember the expression during the OJ trial, he fell on his sword to protect his family's name. And he didn't get the benefits of an Alford plea. The judge told him, do you understand that by entering into this plea, you could be looking at 15 years in prison and over $1 million fine.
Wow. Okay, Bobby, guilty plea. He walks in, says, Your Honor, there's evidence. Obviously, if presented to a jury, is likely to result in me being found guilty. We know that in the federal court system, when you plead guilty, usually though, when you plead and cooperate, I don't know in this case, since he pled at the 11th hour right before the jury was going to be selected, do you think that will help him get any benefit when they go to the sentencing part of this case? The U.S. attorney will have to make a recommendation to the court as to what the sentence should be. Obviously, Abbe Lowell will be making the recommendation. Ultimately, it will come down to the court deciding what his sentence should be.
So I saw Mansfield shaking his head, and he was doing that because as you correctly pointed out, it's the 11th hour. The prosecution had already made whatever offer that they were going to make to him. The Biden team had denied that, rejected that. It's clear here that the prosecutors want jail time. And I think that the judge is going to give them jail time. Now, Hunter Biden is hoping that by making this plea and avoiding having to go to a trial, in addition to saving his family embarrassment, it also saves money and time for the court. So the court, although the court may not be disposed to not giving him any time, he's got to take that into consideration. So I do think he's going to get some credit, but not the type of credit he would have gotten if he had pled guilty a year ago.
Do you know, Mansfield, what the offer was from the U.S. attorney in terms of a guilty plea, say a year ago? Were they offering 5 years in jail, 3 years? Do you know what they were offering?
I don't, but the average of sentencing for tax evasion, this will come as a surprise to you. Close to 50% of those sentenced are given probation, and the other 50% get sentenced low range sentencing terms of somewhere between 1 to 3 years. Now, it's only when you are involved in tax evasion that includes a monster scheme like Madoff and others involving damage to, hundreds of people or tens of dozens of people or thousands of people. Are you looking at sentences that can land you in federal prison for 30 to 50 years? But in this case, with the sentencing range so low, it's I don't know why this move wasn't taken earlier, actually, for the same reasons that Hunter Biden gave today, to protect his family from the embarrassment, because they've gone through quite a lot of embarrassment, and they have given Mr. Trump fodder for his fake attacks. He will embellish the truth of what happened today and turn it into something else. So get ready for that in tomorrow's updates from Mr. Trump. He will make this hearing into something else.
Yeah, he's gonna blame it on Kamala Harris. Kamala will be Hunter's sister, his mother, or somehow related to Hunter Biden.
Yeah, probably. You've
Let me
got
ask you this, Bobby.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Joe Biden said today again, he's been emphatic: no commutation of the sentence, no pardon for his son. But he ain't gonna be the president much longer. God willing, Kamala Harris will be the president. She's not made that promise. She's not said anything about Hunter Biden. What are the chances of Hunter Biden getting, say, 3 years or 2 years for this case? And Kamala Harris saying, he served 6 months. That's enough. Let him out.
So I've been thinking about that, and we talked a little bit about this in relationship to other folks, Marker Lee Thomas. I don't believe that that Kamala Harris is going to sit by if she's the president, that she's going to allow him to get 5 years.
Right.
When I think everybody feels that the judge is making an example out of Hunter Biden, and that it's wrong. The prosecutors didn't accept what would have been a reasonable offer. I think we talked about this also, that the prosecutor was trying to go unreasonably for a sentence that wasn't really in line with what he had done, right? And I do think there's a good chance that if Kamala Harris is the president and she thought that this was a miscarriage of justice, that she could pardon him. Now, there's political risk, and we could get into that at that time. Hopefully, we'll have inauguration parties and everything to go to, so we won't have to deal with that at this point. But, I do think this is unfair, Areva, and I don't think that it merits him getting 3, 4, or 5 years in prison. It just doesn't.
Well, we have to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much. Great insights on these very, very difficult, high-profile cases. We have had a lot of legal stuff happening over the last couple of weeks, and it's going to continue because Donald Trump still is facing some very serious charges in courts across this country, and obviously this case in Georgia is going to capture the attention of the nation. Again, thank you, Bobby Grace and Mansfield Collins.